A prank was a test. My divorce was the answer. Let me start this off by saying something I never thought I'd admit out loud. I loved my wife more than I loved anything else in this world. I still don't know if I'm angry, heartbroken, or just disappointed. Probably all three. My name is Tom Laney. I'm 43 years old, and this is the story of how a cruel little prank orchestrated by my wife and her so-called friends blew up our marriage. For context, I work as a forensic mechanical engineer. That means I spend my days inspecting failed structures, exploded machinery, collapsed bridges, or burnt-out engines, and figuring out what went wrong. My work is precise, analytical, and detailed, which makes me great at my job, but maybe not always the most emotionally available husband. I'm aware of that now. My job requires me to think like a detective with a wrench in one hand and a magnifying glass in the other. Every mistake tells a story. Every fracture is a message. My wife, Leela, and I had been married for 14 years. We met at a local music festival when I was still paying off my student loans, and she was managing a quirky little bookstore. She had fire in her eyes, quick wit, and a laugh that made you forget the world for a second. We danced in the mud that day, literally. The rain poured down, and everyone ran for shelter. But not us. We danced, soaked to the bone, under a makeshift tarp someone had tied between two oak trees. We dated for 3 years before I proposed on a mountaintop in the Smokies. It was cinematic. We built our lives together in a modest but beautiful home just outside Knoxville, Tennessee. Lila painted the walls herself. Every room had a different color scheme and a story. The kitchen was bright yellow, which she said reminded her of her grandmother's sunroom. Our bedroom was painted deep green, like the forest where we first hiked together. It was more than a house. It was our canvas. We weren't perfect, but who is? I worked a lot, I'll admit that. Not because I didn't want to be home, but because that's how I was raised. A man earns, provides, protects. I thought working 60-hour weeks and making sure we never wanted for anything showed love. Maybe it did once, but things started to shift around year 12. Lila had left the bookstore and gotten her degree in library sciences. She started working at the university library, and while I was proud of her, she became different. She wasn't as interested in our traditions. Friday night pizza became her book club. Sunday morning hikes turned into brunches with her new co-workers. And then came the friends. Divorced women, all of them. At first I tried to be supportive, but soon I noticed that whenever I walked into a room while they were visiting, the energy shifted. It felt like judgment, condescension, a silent trial. I remember one night overhearing a conversation through the open window while I was taking out the trash. One of them said, "You need to test him. See if he even notices you anymore." Another laughed. "Men are all the same. Give him a taste of uncertainty and he'll be at your feet." That night, Lila acted like nothing was wrong. We watched a movie. She curled into me on the couch. I tried to enjoy it, but something gnawed at the back of my mind. Then came the test. It started on a rainy Thursday in October. I remember because I had just returned from inspecting a warehouse collapse and was soaked to the bone. I walked in the door, and Lila was sitting on the couch, wine glass in hand, with a strange look on her face. Her posture was too straight, too rehearsed. "We need to talk," she said. My heart sank. I thought someone had died. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "I've been seeing someone." I remember feeling like the air had been sucked out of the room. My chest got tight. My ears rang. I couldn't speak. She stared at me, unblinking. "It just happened. I didn't plan for it. But it made me realize how much you've been ignoring me, how I feel invisible. I wanted to see if you'd even notice." Wait, I finally croaked. Are you serious? Yes, she said. Then a long pause, and finally she laughed. It's a joke, a test. I didn't actually cheat. Me and the girls just wanted to see if you'd fight for me, if you'd care. We thought it would open your eyes. I didn't laugh. I didn't cry. I just stared at her. Every word she said sank into me like a hot needle. She expected me to break down, to apologize, to hold her and say I would change. But all I could feel was betrayal. You thought pretending to betray me would make me love you more, I asked. She shrugged. You don't get it. I needed to know you still cared. You could have talked to me. Talking doesn't work. You never listen. Let me tell you something about being tested. It means someone already doubts you, already suspects you of failure, already assumes the worst. I stood up, walked out the door, drove to the only place I knew I wouldn't be asked questions, my buddy Sean's garage. He's a welder, tough as nails. We sat in silence for hours, him welding bike parts and me sipping on a lukewarm beer. She fake cheated on you to see how you'd react, he finally asked. I nodded. Dude, that ain't a test. That's psychological warfare. I went home that night and slept on the couch. Lila tried to act like nothing happened the next day. She cooked breakfast. She played with our dog, Scout. She even kissed me on the cheek before heading to work. I stared at the wall for hours. My mind kept replaying her face when she said it. The coldness, the rehearsed tone, like she was in a play. I started doing some digging. I checked her phone records, her emails. I'm not proud of it, but after what she'd done, I needed the truth. What I found wasn't an affair, at least not a physical one, but something worse. A group chat between her and her friends. Planning it, rehearsing it, taking bets on how I would react. One of them wrote, "My ex would have punched a wall. Let's see what Mr. Emotionally Constipated does." That was the moment something inside me broke. I hired a divorce attorney the following week. When I served Lila the papers, she went white. Her hands trembled. You're seriously ending our marriage over a joke? It wasn't a joke to me. The fallout was brutal. Her friends turned on her, ironically. Some had egged her on for fun. Others claimed they never supported the idea. One of them, who had secretly filmed her telling me the fake confession, ended up sending the video to a few mutual friends. It got around. People were appalled. Even her co-workers. Her reputation suffered. The university put her on leave, unofficially, because students had started whispering. I moved into a small apartment downtown while we sorted through the divorce. Scout stayed with me. Lila begged to go to therapy, to reconcile, but it was too late. When trust breaks, it doesn't always make a sound. Sometimes it just cracks and crumbles in slow motion. I saw her a few months later in a grocery store. She looked smaller, sadder. She approached me. "I thought you'd come back," she said softly. "I thought you knew me," I replied, and I walked away. In the months that followed, I changed. I stopped working 60-hour weeks. I joined a local hiking group, got back into woodworking, started cooking again. I went to therapy. I reconnected with my sister, who I hadn't seen in 2 years. I even started dating again. Slowly, cautiously, and I found someone. A woman named Elise. A therapist, ironically. She listened. She asked questions. She never tested me. And I never had to prove I was worthy of love through pain. Sometimes I still think about that night, the way her voice sounded when she said, I've been seeing someone. The way she smiled when she revealed it was a prank. Like she expected a standing ovation. Instead, she got silence. And then, she got divorce papers. Let me end with this. If you love someone, talk to them. Tell them you feel unseen, unheard, unloved. Don't manufacture pain to prove a point. Because if you gamble with trust to test your partner, don't be surprised when you fail the test yourself. I didn't divorce Lila because she cheated. I divorced her because she tried to break me, just to see what would happen. And now, she knows.